Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me today on our customer webinar series, our first for EliteCRM for the 2022 season. Today we'll be looking at a how-to demonstration for creating charts, views and dashboards. My name is Andrew Blackie. I'm a Microsoft Dynamics 365 lead consultant for Elite Dynamics. I've been with Elite Dynamics for just over 2 years now, and I work on a number of our products, including Elite Parks and EliteCRM. Let's have a look at the things that I'll be going into more detail on today's session. So we're going to look at how to configure and save views. This is one of the most important things when creating your own charts and dashboards because they all stem from that very first view that you will create. We will also have a brief look at the use of dynamic filters, which are perfect for use within charts and dashboards. We'll then build some basic charts that you can have within your data. How to use those charts to segment your data also, which is crucial. Although they may look visually stunning, how can you drill down into those charts and get to that core information that you're looking for? And then finally, we'll look at setting up your own personalized dashboard, demonstrating all what we've gone through today with those views, dynamic filters, and the charts that we've pre-built. So let's get started and jump straight into our live demonstration. So the first thing we're going to look at within bookings as an example is how to configure and save your own personal views. When you're in your list view, click on the column options icon just to the left hand side of the filter on the top right hand of your page, and that will open your edit columns side box. In here you can see all the columns that are displayed within your current view. The current view is a system view and cannot be amended, so the changes we make now you will be able to save as your own personal view. So as an example, if I wanted to display some key columns at the start, for example, I wanted to see amount paid, I just drag and drop the fields that I want to display and in the order that I wanted to display them, hit apply. That will then change the order of my columns, and you will notice now that next to my view name, Active Bookings, I have a star, which is telling me that I have configured the view and I will need to save it for my own view. And all I would need to do is next to Create View, hit the drop down arrow and hit Save as New View. I will give my new view a name and then hit Save. So this is now my view, personal to me. If I hit the drop down here, I can see under my views, I've got my bookings, and the column layout is now my layout. And all I would need to do is go back into my column options, and I can again play around with my columns just by dragging and dropping, hit apply, and all I would need to do now is hit the drop down button and save changes to my current view. So now that I own the view, I can now save changes to that current view. And that's now been applied. To add in columns, additional columns or columns from related entities, all we would need to do is hit on Add Columns at the top. Your first option that you get is all of the columns that are displayed within the entity that you're within. And always make sure that you change default to all, so that shows you all fields that are available. And it is just a case of clicking on all of the fields that you want to display just by clicking on them. And once you've done that, scroll down to the bottom and hit close and apply. And as you can see now, those new columns are now displayed in my view. And once again, if I wanted to reorder them, I could. And what we also have the ability to do is if I go to Add Columns and I click on Related, this will now show me all of the related entities attached to the booking. So for example, if I wanted to display the park name instead of the park code that's displayed on the screen here, I could click on park as a drop down, and then you'll notice that I haven't got all of my available fields there. So I just need to change default to all, and I've now got all of the available fields that are displayed within the park entity related to the booking. So I can now search for the field that I need, and in this example I'm going to choose park name. I'm going to hit close, and then right at the bottom here I've got park name, and I'm just going to drag it where my park field is, and on this one I'm just going to hit the assist edit and then remove. And then once I apply that, I can now see that my park name is displayed in full, and I can expand the column and see my full park name instead of just a park code. And once I've done that, it's just remembering to save my current changes to the current view, and that will be indicated by the star next to the view name to show that changes have been made. And I can just expand my columns and just show them how I want them displayed, then click my drop down and save changes to current view. And those changes have now taken effect. So now that we've looked at how to configure your views, and you can do that multiple times, this example I've saved as my bookings, we can do the same in deals and contacts and leads, and just configure that view to suit you and put the columns in order in the way that you want them displayed. And then we can go further and work on the filters that we want within our view. So if we just click on the filter icon on the right hand side, this will display me the current filters on this particular view. And in this example, to use that dynamic filter, and what we mean by dynamic is just to make sure that you don't have any hard-coded information such as specific dates and things like that, which would make it a static list. To make it dynamic, make sure your filters are today, this month, this week, this year, or anything like a grade or a park that will have data going in and out of it as it moves. So in this example, we're going to select a new row, and I'm going to add into the park into here. And if I select my park as AF, and then I'm going to add another row, and I want to see only a list view of all my grades that are of type Sycamore. So I'm going to go to my booking grade, and then bring in here my Sycamore grade, and then apply. So I now have a dynamic view of anything that's got a park name of AF and also a booking grade of Sycamore. Now, as new bookings come in, they are going to go into my list based on those particular filters. And I can now, using the drop down arrow, save as a new view rather than saving the changes to my bookings current view. And I can then put in here my Sycamore bookings and then save. And I can now go further and add more filters to this particular data set. So if I just click onto my filter icon, and I want to see all of my arrivals within the current month. So if I click on arrival date, and then in here, this is where you can select your dynamic filter rather than selecting a specific date. So if I just click on here, current month, which is this month, and then select apply, I now have filtered my data further, showing me all of my bookings on Park AF, booking grade Sycamore, with the arrivals within the current month. And I can now save that view as a new view and say that Sycamore bookings current month. And that's how I've now been able to utilize my views, utilizing my filters, put in those dynamic filters so that I can always see my Sycamore bookings that are within the current month. And of course, you can go further and look at only confirmed bookings, look at only bookings in the future. There's a lot of things that you can do now with those filters, but that just gives you a basis of how to configure your views with some basic dynamic filters. So we're now going to move on and have a look how to build a chart from scratch. So when you're in your list view, just click on the show chart and the hide chart icon on the ribbon at the top. This chart then will display the total figures based on the chart that you've got for the numbers on the right hand side. So for example, if I click on host seasons 134, that will then configure the list view on the right hand side to 134. And this is where now using those charts is where you can drill down into further data. So for example, if I clicked on the direct bookings here, that then filters the data on the right hand side, but I want to have a look at my direct bookings that are confirmed or not confirmed. So if I just go down here to confirmed, click confirmed, and I just want to show this as a bar chart, I can see here that I've got 11 that aren't confirmed and 3,338 that are confirmed. And that's how then I'm starting to drill down into my data. And I say I can now go further and go right on those confirmed bookings. I just want to have a look at how they are by park. So if I select my park there, select another chart type, and I can see now that I've got 603 confirmed on Park AF and 2735 on Park HW. And that's utilizing the drill down capabilities for the charts, even in this view or on your dashboard, where you're able to visually see those charts as we mentioned at the start, but then start to really get down into the core data. And you can see here in the indication where you're at home, you're into direct bookings, and you're at confirmed equals yes. So it will show you the path of where you've drilled down. And again, I can keep going further and further and further until I get to those granular level detail that I'm looking for on my particular bookings. To go back to the start at any point, just hit the home button and I will then go back to my original chart. So as an example, we're going to build a basic chart to look at my bookings by revenue. So if I just click on my three dots and click on new, that then opens up the Power Apps chart editor. And the first thing I need to do is give my chart a name. So I'm just going to call this bookings by revenue. In the first one is where we're going to do the aggregation or the count or the sum. So because we're doing the sum here, I will want to see the booking total price. So I'm just going to go down to total price. And you can of course choose any amount here, whereas amount paid, outstanding amount, but in this example I'm choosing total price, and on the right hand side I want to select the sum because I want to sum up that total price of the bookings. And then further over here you can choose your chart style. So I've got my different types as my column, my bar, my area, line, pie and funnel, etc. So I can choose the different types that I want to use. In this example, let's go for a pie chart. And then we've got our top and bottom rules. So if I just click onto this one and go to our top rule, this would allow you, if you've got a lot of data, so if you've got a large number of parks and you only want to see the top 5 results, this is a good example. Or you could do a custom one where you're seeing the top 6 or the top 10. So you haven't got then a large amount of data displayed on that particular chart. So you can choose the top and the bottom rules there. So once we've decided that the aggregation data within the first legend series, we can then go to our horizontal axis labels. So in here, we're wanting to choose this by booking grade, for example, so we can see our revenue by booking grade. And it's important at this stage that we're not concerned about dates or anything like that, because that's how you utilize your charts with the views or the filters that you've already created or that you can create with them, because the charts can work with any view and also displayed on your dashboard as well. So we're just getting that core information at the moment. So I'm going to select booking grade, And I can see here I've got my two grades there. And again, this has just given me a preview or an example of the chart. And once I've done that, I can click the save icon and then save and close. Once I've saved and closed, just hit Control F5 to refresh my screen and then click on Show Chart. And then under the charts list, I can then see my new chart created, bookings by revenue. And I can now see my pie chart displaying me that core information. And you can also see how quickly it is to put these charts together. And this is just displaying my information by that booking revenue by grade. And again, I can go further on that and then drill down into that core data just by clicking on any one of these slices of the pie to then display the data on the right hand side. So for example, if I wanted to see chestnut, I can click on chestnut and then that displays the data on the right hand side showing me 464 results. So now we've built the chart, it's remembering now that the chart will work with any view. So I've got my bookings by revenue, but utilizing some of the different charts. So for example, the one we built earlier, Sycamore bookings by current month. So this is only going to show me one area, which is Sycamore, but how my view is now filtering my chart as well. So I can see that just in Sycamore, I've got 11,095 as my total booking price. Or I could just go to Sycamore bookings, which will give me all of the information because this is now not my current month. This is all of my bookings in total. And I can go to my bookings, which will then display all the bookings with no filters. So this is where now I can also filter the data. So I can see every single booking, but I might want to go further and say, I just want to look at confirmed. I don't want to see cancelled. And that's just by simply clicking on the filter icon on the right hand side. And I'm just going to simply add into here, confirmed is equal to yes, and then apply. And you can now see how that has filtered my chart and filtered my list view on the right hand side. And as we discussed earlier, just remembering that now the star is next to my bookings, that I can just click on my drop down and save changes to current view or save as a new view. And I can go to show chart and display my bookings by revenue. And I've now got my up-to-date chart with just showing confirmed bookings rather than all the bookings in total. And just some other things to note on charts before we move on to dashboards is by clicking this drop down here is because this chart is now owned by me, I've got a couple of options. I can edit it, so I can add details, change a different chart type to bar or column. I can of course hit new, but one of the useful ones is save as. So if I wanted a similar chart but changing it now to bar or changing it to not show by grade but show by park, I could click on save as, use those current settings that I've already got, amend them and then save as your new chart. Some of the other things that you can do with charts is import and export them, which is a really quick, useful feature, which exports it as an XML file, and you could email that to some of your colleagues and they could import it into their own system and use it as their own personal view. And it's not then needing to be shared or assigned to anybody, but it's quite a good feature to use. And it's just utilizing export and then import. One of the other things you've got is share. So this is a really important bit that I wanted to note here is that when you build your dashboard and you've got your views in your dashboard and you've got your charts, if you want to share the dashboard with people, you've got to make sure that you share the charts and the views also, because they will just display no permissions within the dashboard. So although you've given permission to the top line, you need to give them to the below elements as well. And that's just simply by clicking on share, add user or team, and then you could either choose a user or a team and then add them simply to the selected records here and then add them in. So for example, if I just choose Elite Dynamics in here, click add, and then I need to choose then what type of access I would like the user or the users to have on this particular chart. So if it's just read only, that would be ticked as default. But if you're happy to write data or delete, or they can share the chart with further people as well, you can decide on the permissions to give to that particular user or team that you're sharing to. Once you've done that, just simply click share, and they will then be able to see this particular chart under my charts within the chart list view. So that's looking at list views and charts, and then finally let's just go on to a dashboard and just pull some key elements together into a basic dashboard that you can build yourself. So if I click onto dashboards, and at the top I just need to click new and then Dynamics 365 dashboard. Remembering, similar to chart, I can't amend a system dashboard, but I can use the save as functionality. So I can save this dashboard if I quite like it, but I'd like to move a few things around. I could save it as my own personal dashboard and then make the changes. So I'm going to click on New and Dynamics 365 Dashboard. And this is where I can now choose the layout of the dashboard that I want to create. Now this is just some basic layouts, and you can add to this. So if I choose the 3-column regular dashboard, for example, I can add further components into that. So it could be 9 or 6 and so on. But in this example, I'm going to choose 3-column regular dashboard as my example and then hit create. And the first thing you need to do is give your dashboard a name. So in this example, I'm going to call it Andrew's dashboard. And then you have your 6 component areas. There's certain elements that you can add. So for example, you can add a chart, a list view, an assistant, which is inserting things like where it'll tell you upcoming meetings and events that you have, which is quite handy to display in a dashboard. An iframe, which some of our customers have utilized, displaying their current website or a certain page on the website, which you can have within your dashboard. Or the use of web resources, which is adding some custom code or elements into that particular dashboard for you. So the first example we're going to do is click on charts in the first section. And because dashboards can be used across all entities, you will get the first one of record type, which is giving you all of the options across all entities available within EliteCRM. But in this example, I'm going to choose bookings. And now I can look at my certain views that I can use. And it's remembering now that the charts will work with all of your views. So you can either select a view to use as default, or you can change the view once you've saved your dashboard. But a good example is showing the same chart, but having this week, this month, this year as an example, if you wanted it to just be visual there as soon as you log in. But let's choose active bookings, which is showing me everything. And in this example, my bookings by agent, which is allowing me to see across host seasons, reception, direct bookings, and booking.com example of how we're performing. I'm going to choose chart again and choose bookings. And this time I want to see only my confirmed bookings. But I'd like to see my confirmed bookings by revenue and by grade. So I can click on here, bookings by revenue by grade, which is then showing me across all different areas. Or I could choose the new one that we built earlier, the new chart, which is bookings by revenue, and I can see that in a pie chart, which is the one I will use in that example. And that's bringing together how we've been able to build that chart within a couple of clicks and now display that into our dashboard. And in the third one along the top then, I'm going to choose bookings again. This time I want to just choose my bookings with outstanding amount. And based on the charts, I could choose this by month or by park. And for an example, I'm going to choose this one by park, where I can see my bookings with an outstanding amount based on the park, and then click add. So I've got my bar chart and my 2 pie charts. In the bottom left hand corner, I'm going to select chart one more time. And this time I'm going to choose confirm bookings once again, but I want to see my confirmed bookings by city. And I always find that the city one is a really useful one to display, certainly in the certain times that we're in where you might need to drill into data quite quickly in certain cities if we had further lockdowns and things like that and so on. but the bookings by city is a really good one to display within your dashboard. And then the final two then is what I want to display now is some list views. And this is where I could display my current activities, today's phone calls, appointments, and deals that have been made this week. But in this example, I'm going to show my arrivals this week and my arrivals next week. And I can also, again, as long as I've configured the views, I can do that for today or tomorrow and so on. But if I then just choose Insert List, my record type would then be bookings still. And I now want to choose confirmed bookings arriving this week for my first section. And then by clicking on Insert List again, and then bookings, I want to choose bookings arriving next week and then hit add. So once I've added now my 6 sections, I then just need to hit save on the top left hand corner and then close. And I can now see my new dashboard that I've built called Andrew's Dashboard, and this will be within my dashboard section. And I've got my active bookings by agent, my confirmed bookings by revenue, which is the chart that we built earlier, my bookings with outstanding balance, my confirmed bookings by city, and then I've got my arrivals arriving this week and next week. The view that you can see here is also configurable, so the confirmed bookings arriving this week, utilizing what we learned at the very start of this session, is configure your own views on what you would like to display here, and then you would be able to use that particular view within the My View section that you've built on your personal views. But as you can see here, you can quite easily change the different elements that you want to display. So for example, you might decide that you only want one of these sections, but you can then quickly change the different ones that you want to utilize within that particular list view section. And if you're displaying quite a lot of data, you've got the quick find option here, which is really useful. One last thing before we finish up on today's webinar session is then just once you've built your dashboard is how you can then set it as default by simply clicking on that icon on the ribbon at the top. And then every time now that you go to the dashboard section, this will always be displayed. And then also you can share the dashboard just as we did with the charts and then add in a user or team. And it's just again remembering that you need to make sure that you have shared the individual charts with the user before you share the actual dashboard as well. And you can of course reassign this dashboard to another user within the group as well. And then that dashboard would become theirs and no longer be seen within your particular view. Well, thank you so much for sticking with me for this half-an-hour webinar session. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll go back to Park now and utilize those skills that you've sort of learned today with building those filters, those views, and those dashboards together. And just to understand as well is how easy it is to bring all that information into one dashboard, but being able to drill down into the information as well. If you would like to know more information on what we've gone through today or more of a personalized demonstration for your park, please contact your account manager, either Jermaine or Nicola, and they'll be able to give you some more information. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.